Yeah, Sukuna might be the king of curses, but a fully realized Ghetto is the god of them. And yeah, this is official art from Gege Akutami depicting him as Buddha, by the way. So let's talk about what a fully realized Ghetto might have looked like. All right, first of all, let me explain how this works for anybody new here. So over the past couple of months, I've been putting out a series of videos talking about the maximum potential of characters. For example, what Yuji might look like 10 years down the line after JJK ended, or what Yuta Okotsu might look like, or what Mahito might have developed into had he not been killed off so early. So that's what we're going to do for Geto, but importantly, like he wasn't really killed off early and he also wasn't a kid, right? Like he was a full grown man. So you might say we kind of saw what his full potential was. And that is fair, but he does have some kind of meta constraints on him, and that is the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was written first, where he was killed, right? And because of that, Gege Akutami hadn't even developed domain expansions yet. So he wasn't even fully fleshing out the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. He originally intended 0 to be a one and done. So once it did continue into a series, Ghetto never really got the chance to develop alongside the power system and the world building, right? So here we're going to imagine, yeah, we saw a fully realized adult version of him in the story, but let's pretend that he was going to continue through the rest of the series. How might he have grown alongside people like Gojo, etc., right? What would that version of his maximum potential be? First of all, these two were called the strongest for a reason, okay? Gojo, as the Six Eyes limitless user, the once in 500 years anomaly, was paired with Ghetto. Like they were thought of as the strongest together. So just because he has cursed spirit manipulation, he was on that level. Now this was pre-awakened Gojo, but still, right? That just speaks to the power level of cursed spirit manipulation, one of the greatest curse techniques in the entire series. S tier, best of the best, right? You can literally build an entire army with this thing. And I do mean an army because we see multiple times throughout the series this technique unleash hundreds, if not thousands, of cursed spirits at once. And there doesn't seem to be any known limit on that. So given enough prep time and work, he could theoretically have millions in his arsenal. Now, when we're talking multitudes like that, obviously the vast majority of those cursed spirits are going to be fodder. But honestly, 1,000, not to mention 10,000 or 100,000 of something, is going to be a problem for everyone not named Gojo Sukuna and Yuta Okotsu at this point, right? But even aside from the countless fodder spirits, he's going to have special grade spirits, like singular spirits that could be able to take out most sorcerers no problem. Spirits equipped with their very own domain expansions and special abilities, and he could have thousands of that quality. Each and every powerful cursed spirit out in the world could theoretically just have that added to Ghetto himself, right? Like, imagine if he captured all of the disaster curses. Sure, Hanami Dagon and Jogo are extremely powerful, and he could deploy those to deal with 99% of the verse, right? But Mahito in particular is absolutely insane. And we saw this with Kinjaku, and it's why I think that Gege Akutami just had him immediately Uzumaki him to get him off the table, because having Mahito at your beck and call, even if he is capped at whatever power level you absorbed him at, is insane, right? Imagine you just summon Mahito and all you're going to have him do is heal you. Every time you take any damage, he comes and uses Idle Transfiguration to fix you up. And that's like the weakest possible application of Mahito I can think of, right? You could just have him go one shot anyone you want. You could have him change your shape to suit whatever needs you need in the moment, right? The same way he did for himself. If you control him, you could have him do that for you. You could have him turn you into Sukuna, have the 4 arms, 2 mouths, the perfect body for sorcery. He could literally accommodate anything you need, and he wouldn't just be able to do it to you. You could command him to do this to other people, to your allies, perhaps even to your other cursed spirits, right? Now, what exactly might he be able to do to boost people in that way? I don't know, but really, it's a blank drawing board. We can do whatever we want with it, right? Like, having Mahito under your command would be insane, and that's just one cursed spirit, right? There is a whole world of them out there. And the more powerful he gets, the easier it's going to be for him to capture any spirit he wants. And even if we want to say he couldn't beat Mahito and do it himself, well, he can just go ask Gojo to help him, right? And I don't want to get too into the narrative here because, like, is he evil? Whatever the case may be, but he could have help to go get these cursed spirits. It's not like the 10 Shadows where he has to do it himself. And on that note, imagine if he gets Rika, right? And I've got a whole video where I talk about this scenario, and I even talked about it again in my recent What If He Was Good video. So I'm not going to get into it here, but like, just imagine how powerful this man would be. And while there might not be other Rikas out there, there are certainly other insanely powerful cursed spirits that, like, we never even saw, right? So really, there is no limit to the amount of strength he could accumulate with this technique. Now, however many spirits he gets, it is hard to imagine him ever beating Gojo, right? But we do know in Jujutsu Kaisen 0, Geto thought with Rika he would be able to defeat Gojo. And this isn't Teen Gojo we're talking about anymore. This is awakened adult Gojo. So again, I'm not even saying that this version of Geto would get Rika. It's going to depend on if he's a good guy, if he's a bad guy, whatever the case, right? But certainly there are theoretically some cursed spirits out there, some amount of things he could add to his arsenal that he may even be able to rival the likes of Gojo and Sukuna. And even if for whatever reason we want to say that he'll never be able to beat a Gojo or a Sukuna in a one-on-one, like, who cares? That's not even really what this video is about. It's just about his potential. And I think his far outshines theirs in terms of what he's capable of on a grander scale, right? Like, he can literally have an army of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cursed spirits, each with their own techniques and each potentially with domain expansions, right? Like, it's absolutely insane what this would be capable of. And I haven't even talked about other applications of this technique yet, because cursed spirit manipulation is one of the few techniques that actually has a maximum, and that is Uzumaki, the ability to not only just put out insanely powerful energy blasts, but on top of that, to extract curse techniques from his army in order to use them himself. Now, he can only use it once, but still, like we saw what Kinjaku was capable of with Mahito's idol transfiguration. Now, personally, I would never destroy Mahito because he's too valuable as just an asset, but just think of the possibilities there. Literally any cursed spirit that you come across that has a technique, you could use it yourself. So even if for whatever reason the spirit itself wasn't sophisticated to accomplish what you needed with it, like Kinjaku and Mahito, he could use it himself. He could essentially have a deeper and vaster bag than Yuta Okotsu does with Kapi. It's just that he's limited where Yuta isn't. But at the same time, he's not limited because he could just have the spirit do it for him indefinitely, right? But you guys get the point here. Like, there is so much versatility with this. And I just remembered something I forgot to mention in terms of the vast army of cursed spirits. Ghetto could theoretically make them even stronger than they were by enhancing them with his own cursed energy, as Kinjaku explains here. Even if they're just low-grade cursed spirits, after enhancing them with my cursed energy, swarming them and giving them orders, they can even take out grade 1 sorcerers of your level. This is Choso, by the way. So a weak spirit commanded by an intelligent sorcerer, enhancing them with his own cursed energy, can take out grade 1s. And those are weak spirits, okay? Now imagine dozens, and maybe way, way more, but we're going to be conservative here, dozens of very strong cursed spirits. Imagine the disaster curses all working in tandem, enhanced by Ghetto's cursed energy. All of this, and we haven't even talked about the standard things we give most maximum potential characters. Things like, simple domain, RCT, a domain expansion, and yeah, let's give this version of Ghetto all of those things, but they're really just icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need RCT if he's got Mahito out there healing him, but yeah, we'll give him RCT. Mahito could be for more extreme things, so he's gonna be able to heal. We'll give him a domain, but he doesn't even need it, honestly, given the potential of everything else he can do. He can have 1,000 spirits use domain expansion for him, but yeah, like, we'll give him a domain. That'll be an alternate win condition for, like, the most powerful of opponents. Now, again, what would it do? dealer's choice. On top of everything here, I think Ghetto possesses the correct mindset to truly excel. Kind of like what Sukuna was pointing to with Jogo. Like, you should have burned it all down. Ghetto would have done that. We saw him do it. He literally killed his own parents in pursuit of his goals. Your boy is just yapping at this point, but yeah, God of Curses might even be an understatement. Like, I truly think that his maximum potential is limitless. All right, so with all that out of the way, I now wanted to respond to some questions I got that inspired this video, and a lot of these are in response to my video from a few days ago talking about what if Ghetto had been a good guy. So check out that video if you want like the full context. But first and foremost, shout out to Gregory who inspired me making this video, and I believe I addressed most of what you asked here, so thank you so much for the support. And then next up, in reference to my good guy Ghetto video, EDG asked me if this version of Ghetto would be able to command Mahito to heal Mekamaru. And yeah, I think that should be possible. And EDG says that then Mekamaru could kind of fulfill the role that Yuta had filled. Because in my good guy Ghetto scenario, Yuta dies so that Ghetto can get Rika. Again, watch the video. So yeah, I think that is a kind of cool stand-in. Plus, it would be really cool to see more from Mekamaru. But then on top of that, EDG was asking, could Mahito seemingly make people heavenly restricted? Like, could he take someone, alter their soul, and make them like Maki and Toji? And this is interesting, and I think I have talked about this in the past before. We don't know, like I can't give a sure answer on that, but it might be possible. Like maybe he could alter someone's soul so that they don't have any cursed energy, and then maybe they would become like Maki and Toji. So, you know, it's hard to say, but I would imagine a Mahito that has been absorbed by Ghetto, meaning he can't deepen his knowledge or try and understand stuff like that better, probably couldn't do it, but like a full potential Mahito, not tamed by Ghetto, maybe could unlock that ability. And then building off this max potential Ghetto, Franco points out that maybe he could even force domain cancelizations by using his cursed spirits domains, referencing the fact that when we saw a three-way domain expansion, they all just forcibly collapsed, right? So, for example, could Ghetto just send in two of his cursed spirits to pop their domains when his opponent pops his domain, and then all three cancel, except Ghetto's not on burnout and still has his own domain expansion plus however many cursed spirits he has, right? Versus an opponent who's out of luck. So this is interesting. And in some scenarios, I think something like this could work. But I think domain refinement will come into play here. And we don't know that all three of these characters were equally refined. Like that was never stated. But I do think that if one of them had been like far outclassing the others, then they wouldn't have all collapsed and the strongest one would have just overtaken them all. Like if Sukuna had been in this situation, I don't think his would have collapsed. So maybe Ghetto could do that against some people, but I don't think it would work against everyone. Then next up, Saint says, do I think a cursed spirit manipulation user like Ghetto would have been able to theoretically absorb Kashimo when he used Mythical Beast Amber, kind of in the in-between stage when he wasn't really human anymore, but he was more electricity and pure energy before the technique ultimately killed him. And this is a really cool idea, but no, I don't think it would work, just because I don't think Kashimo shifts from human to cursed spirit in his transformation. I think he is just becoming like energy or electricity. Now, where's the line drawn on that? Because all that process is happening with cursed energy, sure, but I still don't think he would fit within the realms of cursed spirit to be able to be absorbed by Ghetto or a cursed spirit manipulation user. But again, cool idea. And then finally, both Mandatory Fruit and Patriarch Prime asked me a similar question kind of coming from two different directions. And that is, what if Sukuna had taken over Ghetto as his vessel? And what if he had taken over Kinjaku as his vessel? Basically, what if Sukuna had cursed spirit manipulation? And this would be good night for the verse, right? Because all of the potential we've been talking about throughout this video now wielded by Sukuna's genius, right? So yeah, I think he would be insanely powerful with this, which kind of begs the question, why did he never try to take Kinjaku's body from him, right? And I think he just wasn't interested in it. Like, even the reason he took Megami wasn't because he wanted the 10 Shadows, right? He just wanted a body that wouldn't be a prison for him. And then he kind of jumped on the opportunity to upgrade his arsenal, to learn from Maharaga, but not because he wanted to keep using Maharaga, saga. He just wanted to take that adaptation and then leave the Ten Shadows in the dust, upgrading his own arsenal. So yeah, I think Sukuna with Curse Spirit Manipulation would be disgusting and could do some crazy stuff, but he's just not interested in it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one, y'all. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, thank you for watching.